time now. All right. Hello, everybody. I am the Cynic, and I have a guest with me this time. I'm sorry I've been gone for so long, but here with me now is Niko Chosky. And no, I do not hate him. If he hates me, I can't speak for, but I don't hate him. Niko, how you been?
I have very strong feelings for you, man. I've been good. How are you?
I've been all right. Just did some over-the-road trucking, and now I'm back home for a little bit. It's good to be back on the internet, and yeah, we have some topics to cover.
Yeah, we have lots of topics to cover. By the sound of things, it will take a long time. I'm doing my stretching, and I'm ready.
All right, so we were talking for a little before, and you said there was some BBC news, a new BBC or mainstreamification of MGTOW, or they're trying to come out and figure out what we're all about, all that great shit.
Yeah, well, it's been going on for some time. I mean, recently, well, we had the BBC crew that did that documentary, and MRA's Milo Yiannopoulos were involved. Who else? I mean, there are a lot of things. That was a couple of months back, and it will be released, people have said, in December, right? So that's happening. There is someone in BBC who's going around, and I think he's looking for people to do an interview with again, and that's been someone told me that, and I can't really share too much about that. Hopefully, it's going to be slightly better than what they tried to do before. By the sounds of things, the person involved this time is not as much of a cunt. Who else? Recently, a lot of honey badgers have been talking about MGTOW. I mean, over the past 2 weeks, it seems to be that, well, MGTOW is all they talk about. And they don't talk about it in any negative connotation. So, for example, Stardust will be going on very soon to speak to the honey badgers. Yesterday, there was a MGTOW honey badger hangout with loads of MGTOW talking over there. So yeah, there is a bit of, let's say, mainstream attention that we seem to be getting.
And that, I find that absolutely fascinating, because MGTOW have always been really reclusive about that thing, especially with women. And now it seems like they're actually going out of their, a lot of MGTOW are going out of their way in order to accommodate that. Is that fair to say, or?
Well, I guess let's think about it for a second. So with the honey badgers, I think the first hangout, there was 2 MGTOW that were present, or 3 MGTOW. I don't remember if there were any more. And there was a bunch of women talking there, Karen Strachan, etc., that were talking. They were asking questions. I mean, other than that, the honey badgers don't seem to be doing too much damage. They seem to be talking fair points, so I don't see any problem with that. As to whether MGTOW are being a bit more friendly towards the outside world, I think the outside world is coming in and they're trying to be more friendly with us. I think it's working the other way around. It seems to be the new hip thing to talk about for some strange reason. Even Milo spoke about it in a recent interview. He spoke about MGTOW.
Okay, well, keep in mind, I've been out of the loop for like the past month and a half, so I have no idea what's going on right now. I tried to catch up a little bit, but I got sucked into that whole Thunderfoot and Laughing Witch thing. But
that was a good one. That was one of my favorite things that happened this week. Well, something like this was bound to happen eventually.
Right. So aside from the honey badger thing, you said that there was a bunch of like news reporters coming forward and trying to get specific, or not specific, but MGTOW to talk about what MGTOW is about, or what was that again?
It was there is a documentary guy, and he seems to be completely independent, from everyone else. He makes his own documentaries. He gets grants from a university in order to do his documentaries, and he's looking for someone to, talk about, someone to do a documentary with, ask his story, and see who that person is, in real life, if you like. Outside his persona, or the nickname that he may go with online. So that person did contact me and we had a conversation. I mean, the problem that I personally have, because that guy seems to be like a nice bloke, he said he's not going to put any commentary, he's not going to do anything to the documentary, he's simply getting the point across. So I didn't mind doing that as an idea. That seems absolutely fine. But he wanted to show the face of the person, just so that he puts a human element to it. And, that seems to be a kind of a problem that I have because, work and stuff. There is media attention. Not sure if it's for good or bad, but there is media attention that's coming to MGTOW. And I think it is this infiltration, as it always happens with subcultures, and it has happened with the hip hop culture, etc., in the States before, and it's now happening with MGTOW. I mean, it's only natural.
Right. And honestly, when I think about it, I'm a little skeptical about the mainstreamification of MGTOW, especially with society's current attitudes. But then again, it really wouldn't hurt us now that I've actually had time to think about it. I mean, men going their own way doesn't need to exist. Now, let me elaborate on that. Men are seeing the detrimental ways society, marriage, the sexes, or the relationship between the sexes. They're seeing it. They don't need MGTOW to be here for that. And honestly, there's really nothing they can do to hurt that. I'm not saying that MGTOW has a goal. MGTOW has never had a goal as a collective, from my understanding of it. And I mean, it's a reaction. It's a reactionary. I don't want to call it a movement because movements have goals, but I would call it a phenomena. And it doesn't matter how demonized MGTOW gets. It doesn't matter how we're portrayed or anything like that, because in the end, it's a logical self-preservation reaction to the social expectations and attitudes that society has for men. I just find it I don't find it kind of weird that they're taking such interest within MGTOW, but I do find it a little odd that they're doing it now. I mean, MGTOW really isn't that big to garner that kind of attention yet, or perhaps I just don't know how influential it is.
Well, I guess the sex education as a phenomenon is happening. That is a fact. Men are checking out of society altogether, and they know that. And we have created hypotheses, we have put words into the phenomenon, and we're actually trying to go about living life in our own terms and just enjoying ourselves. I mean, we're actually the sex education in a much more, I'm presuming, a philosophical basis. So we have lots of reasons as to why we're doing what we're doing. We have lots of stories. We have lots of evidence-based research that we use to come up with our arguments, and we formed almost a community surrounding these beliefs that we hold. Now, I think we're the face of the sex education as the media is seeing it. I don't think they have a good understanding of what's happening out there. I don't think they're connected with young people as much as they think they are. I think their main audience is mainly, I don't know, middle-aged women. Yeah. So I don't think they understand what's going on with the young people. I don't think they understand what's going on with men in general and how they're going about their lives, because that's not their main target audience. And I think that's what I find a bit, suspicious when media is approaching this community, because we create entertainment for ourselves with YouTube videos. We create content for ourselves, again, with YouTube videos, with articles, with blog posts. We're kind of like a very secluded community, a community that anyone can come in, they can say their piece, and they can fuck off if they want to, or if they don't like it. We don't really care about media attention, but I think getting media attention, especially a negative one, can have detrimental effects to that specific person's life. It shouldn't have any detrimental effects to MGTOW as a whole. I don't think it will be damaging in any way. And actually, Stardust said the same thing that you said. if we get media attention, fine. If we get the wrong media attention, still fine. It doesn't bother me. It shouldn't bother you. It shouldn't have anything to do with how you live your lives. But if a person's identity is to come out, it is a bit more, dangerous.
Right. Oh yeah. I mean, the attitude of misogyny is everything is fucking misogyny nowadays, and the hypersensitivity of employers. I mean, this whole Thunderfoot thing, for instance, speaking out against feminism, for one, is considered harassment. I mean, they tried to get him fucking fired over that. So I believe that there really is a legitimate desire for anonymity within MGTOW, and despite if John the Other's position, if it hasn't changed, he says we shouldn't be afraid, blah blah blah. The Thunderfoot thing has proven that criticizing feminism can lead to impacts on your life and your livelihood. Nobody wants to deal with that kind of bullshit.
Exactly, man. I can tell you for a fact, if my face is to come out, and it's why I'm being quite careful. Well, to an extent, if my face is to come out, I mean, I'm personally in danger. I work in the public sector in a way. I work in a hospital. I see patients of both genders. It is dangerous for me. So you can say whatever you like, but everyone is willing to take as much risk as they're willing to take. And I think it's not about being ashamed of your positions or your opinions. These opinions that I phrase on MGTOW channels, I phrase in real life as well, especially with doctors, nurses. I don't give a shit. But saying these things, in person with someone is a lot different as saying them and having some, 1,000, 2,000 people or however many people listening to you, right? And somehow when you have a following, as they said that Thunderfoot has, suddenly you become a danger to the feels of feminists and women all around. So then they try to destroy your life. It is unfortunate, but it is how it is.
Yeah, and I think South Park did an excellent job on their rendition of the safe space. Have you seen that episode yet?
Is it one of the new series? Because I always save the entire series to watch in one go. It takes like 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah, it was one of the newer ones, but they did a episode making fun of safe spaces, and they had like a filter. They had one of the kids on there be a filter for like Demi Lovato and Vin Diesel, and it was just fucking amazing, dude. It was a very good commentary, in my opinion. But it's become like scary what lengths these people will go to in order to preserve their feelings. They don't give a fuck if they hurt people's lives or destroy livelihoods. Nah, it's their feels that matter, and it's terrifying. Honestly, it really is. Anybody who actually sits and thinks about the consequences that these people can bring, it is utterly terrifying.
Well, it is idiocracy, isn't it? That's what it's turning out to be eventually. And it's good that, the Laughing Witch is now, laughing no more, because...
Ding dong, witch is dead.
That was a good video. That was an excellent video.
It was right there. They saw it. It was there. They had to take it.
Yeah, it was hilarious, man. Anyway, so anyway, the with what happened with the Laughing Witch, I mean, if that woman did the same thing to anyone else, anyone who's a public figure, the media took hold of this man hurting that woman's feelings, and Thunderfoot wasn't actually employed by someone who actually cared about the work that he was producing, then we would have Thunderfoot out of a job. And why would you be out of a job for expressing opinions in your free time? That is ludicrous as a concept. It's like, you go and do your work and do not express any opinions that may hurt my feelings or any other woman's feelings in any way, shape, or form. Then you can't talk. I mean, other than talking to yourself in a room, then you can't phrase an opinion outside. Not to anyone that can validate or invalidate your opinion. You can't have a conversation like this. It's getting ridiculous.
Yeah, and it is because, I mean, I love free speech. The free marketplace of ideas, aka the internet, it is one of I believe it is one of the greatest tools humanity has ever come forward with. And I hate that people are trying to censor it out of, they portraying our words as hate speech and a detriment and, hurting women and all this shit. And there are people who buy it. It's these people who actually believe this nonsense that I'm that scare me the most. I know I'm talking about, fear and terror and all that. It's not really terrifying, but it is still somewhat concerning because of the real life impacts that it can have.
For me, it actually terrifies me. It terrifies me that these people are the majority, and these people are actually the fucking majority of people around us. They, people that care about their feelings, people that want to be accepted no matter what, people that think that they deserve everything that is given to them. What the fuck? I mean, no one deserves shit. No one deserves to be known, accepted, or whatever. There is nothing after you turn 18 and you're on your own. There's nothing that you deserve. Anything that you want, you need to go and get on your own. And guys understand this a lot faster than women do because they still have that nice privilege giving, of guys giving them shit for free. But, there are women around who go around, work, they get their degrees, degrees who are not in, I don't know, English literature or something like that. And they go and do something with their lives and they work and, they proceed and make something of themselves. It's not everyone that has this opinion, but unfortunately, we raised a generation of people that feel entitled to their feelings not being hurt. By the way, if anyone's doing English lit, worthwhile goal. I probably need to do some of that. My English is horrible.
It ain't too bad. All right. Let's go. I'd say that's sufficient for that topic. Wouldn't you agree?
What I wanted to add is I recently liked a video on my channel from the Factual Feminist. Yeah, I liked the video from a feminist. But, she's not that bad.
Shame.
Christine.
For shame.
Yeah. And she was, Christina Hoff Summers, she was talking specifically about the UN sources used in order to say that internet, is scary for women or dangerous for women more so than it is for men. We're talking about the internet, information that appears on your screen, right?
Right.
It's dangerous, of course. You can't press the X button on the right corner. But anyway, so it's impossible. My finger just doesn't click. Anyway, so she did this breakdown of the sources and everything that they used. And many of the sources they used to justify that research in quotation marks, is bogus. One of them was going directly to the hard drive of the person that created the research. It's bullshit, right? Wow. And they know it's bullshit. And as a result, right, and people checking and fact checking as they do now, they took down the research and they said they will return with something better.
Hopefully so.
Right. You missed out on a lot of bullshit, man. And the thing is, people have woken up, and I think they're like extra cautious about anything that has to do with gender inequality or whatever right now.
Well, yeah, but then again, that goes back to the whole you don't want to offend anybody and possibly put your livelihood at risk.
Exactly. God. So we have to do it behind screens with our faces hidden, Oh, well. Yeah, it is what it is, isn't it?
As unfortunate as it is. Oh, well, what can you do other than, try and tell people that, it's okay to have an opinion. They're the ones who are wrong because they're fucking offended by everything.
Is it okay to have an opinion? Why, if your opinion is offending mine, why don't you keep your opinion in between your ears? Yeah, exactly. That's their thinking, though.
Yeah. Sorry, it took me a moment to process that. I had a wait what moment.
Yeah, exactly. But that is kind of the logic behind their arguments, and it is it gives people that pause where you're thinking you've just encountered something so stupid
Yeah.
that you don't know how to reply.
Yeah, but that's the thing, isn't it? That's their way of quote unquote winning. Is they say something so stupid that you have to go, wait, what? It's like, ha, you didn't reply. I win. Fuck you.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
All
all
right.
about winning, isn't it?
I can't say anything because that's kind of how I am. Anyways, all right. The next topic: should human emotional comfort be sought within Android AI the same way that eventually we will seek it or seek sexual fulfillment? Um, and this was an interesting concept that I think a lot of men have been thinking about. And honestly, I think if the AI can be tweaked just so, I think it would be a good way to go. Because, yes, sex bots have been a huge topic within men going their own way. They've been a huge topic among men in general behind closed doors.
Mm-hmm.
But the emotional aspect, the desire for emotional comfort, the whole male, I don't want to say male mother need thing, but just
Mm-hmm.
that ability to become emotionally vulnerable to a trustworthy entity that
Mm-hmm.
will show compassion, empathy, understanding, and the closest thing that I believe can be demonstrated to love. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. So these are two separate topics, and they all go to, the idea, if we're able to create artificial intelligence that is, closely resembling human intelligence in some way,
Yeah, not the
then
one that's talking about putting us in human zoos.
yeah, exactly. But something that's remotely good in a way, right?
Right.
Whether you're able to get emotionally attached to it. Well, ideally speaking, when we're talking about artificial intelligence, when a man believes that the person talking to him is actually a human being and not a robot, then I think if that happens, then you can have an emotional connection with a robot. It's entirely possible. I mean, we have emotional connections to pets, and
Yeah.
pets don't talk to us, right? So if you're able to replicate something similar, something that appears to be more or less alive, even if you need to plug it in order to, communicate with you, then that you're able to form an emotional connection with that thing, right? Whether you know it's a thing or not is completely irrelevant, because you will be able to form an emotional connection with it, and it is factual, right? If you're talking to something and you're confused whether that something is a human being, so if someone has that ability to give you, answers who are more intelligent than Siri, then you will form an emotional connection with them. It is how it is. And I know that for a fact. People will say whatever they want to say, but you will form an emotional connection with it. That is a side effect of the way that our brains are designed. And we will feel grief even if those robots were to die, right?
Yeah.
Knowing that they're robots doesn't mean jack shit.
No,
Doesn't mean
no, I think that's okay. I think that is 100% okay. Because
Mhm.
I mean, what humans strive for, and I know I'm making a huge generalization here, so forgive me for that, but I think one of the big things that humans strive for is an emotional connection and emotional fulfillment. And between the sexes, I don't think that's ever really happened despite the effort, but I do think that that humanity will be a lot happier. Like, I know this is going a little off topic, but the school shootings that have happened recently, I think we're going to
Mhm.
see a decline in those once that desire for emotional connection has been achieved. And it's sad that it has to come through artificial intelligence. But I
So
think,
let me I think you're absolutely right. I mean, the way that our sexual mating strategies for both men and women, the way that they evolved to be competitive, right? I mean, I had Rollo Tomasi on the channel, and he's a PUA minded individual, right?
right.
Probably more PUA than anything else. But he says that the sexes can be complementary to each other, and they can be in an ideal setting, etc. But our sexual mating strategies are at war with each other. They always have been, right? A man needs to fuck. Needs is a strong word. A man wants to fuck many women, right? In order to ensure that at least one of them will get pregnant and one of them will have a child that's actually his, because how does he know otherwise, right? So
Right.
that's why we've evolved that, let's say, sexual mating strategy. It's something that's opportunistic. But for women, their reproductive strategy, it's something that is highly selective. So they want to keep a man, right? A man who's invested with her, so that they can provide for the child and ensure that the child and her can survive in order to have more children. Now, if they can secure the investment from one man, right, and they see someone who's more of a, let's say, a genetic marvel passing in front of them, and that man will never find out that the child is not his, they'll take the opportunity and have sex with that person. That's why men often become angry with women and they're jealous, and they have often become violent with women because of that jealousy, because they need to protect their assets in a way. Otherwise, they'll never know, or they would have never known before, whether that child was actually theirs. That's why our reproductive strategies are actually, opposing each other. So if you can create an artificial intelligence that's complementary, in the ideal setting of how a man envisions that, artificial intelligence to be, then a person would, have feelings for that robot. They would have an emotional connection with that robot, right? I do think that because of the way that we are, men in particular, they'll get fed up of having sex with a robot eventually, right? Even if it feels exactly the same, right? Even if that robot is built to the best, waist to hip ratio that, they can imagine, right? They will eventually get fed up. And that's, again, the biology. But they will have something that they will appreciate and want to have a conversation with, perhaps for life.
Right. And honestly, I think that will lead to multiple androids or robots, whatever you want to call them. That will lead to like three, maybe two, maybe three, four robots for one man, and he can just cycle through, and each one of them will have their own personality quirks, at least as far as artificial intelligence can go. And I think a man might be content with a full robot harem, but then again, it's going to be pricey as fuck. But as far as it's not just about sexual selection strategies. That does play a huge role in it. Don't get me wrong, but there's more to it. I mean, if it was just about having sex, then men would have really no problems with the way things are now, aside from child support. Like, a lot of men want monogamous, faithful women who are have a low sexual count. If it was just about sex, hey, fuck it. I'll fuck you, and then I'll fuck you, and I'll come back to fuck you one more time. But that's not what a lot of men want. They want... Yeah.
And that, I believe that goes back to our sexual mating strategy. You want a woman with a low count of sexual partners before you, hopefully no count. I mean, in a lot of traditional cultures, you need a virgin female, right? And that's to ensure, I mean, you don't know this, right? The problem is when we are having these conversations that we conceptualize that the reason that men have emotional responses towards sluts and emotional responses towards, women who don't appear to be as much of a slut, right? Is because, we're thinking about the end reproductive goal. But it's not the case. People just have emotional reactions for the sake of having emotional reactions. We can rationalize them however we want to, and perhaps going down to evolution, then we can understand why those reactions occur. But the fact is, they occur because they served a biological purpose in the past, and they will continue to occur because we cannot change the way that, we were built as human beings from thousands of years of evolution. So men will continue to have those emotions, all right? And I recently, I don't remember who it was that said this, that, I think it was TFM that said this, that men don't fall out of love with women, right? You might not be sexually attracted to her, right?
Yeah.
But you won't fall out of love with her, right? Because you love the person. And that's the thing, right? That's why I said that maybe a man will be bored of having sex with a woman, but he will still love her. and he would still provide for her. And that's one of the tricks that evolution has created for men to continue to invest to a woman that they no longer find attractive. That's why wives exist.
Right. And I think that I'm trying to, I can't say I think this 100%, but I've been trying to figure out what it is that would make a man really happy. I mean, a lot of people think it's simple to make men happy. I consider that one of the stereotypes about men. Because for all of our talk about, men are simplistic creatures and blah, 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 men are actually pretty complicated. It's not as like quick as women's, but eventually we do get bored over time. We do strive for something else. But I think for both sexes, it comes down to a sense of security, a sense of safety, a sense of purpose and belonging. Everything after that is, up for grabs and whatnot. But in order to achieve, full-on happiness, I'm of the opinion that security and all that great shit is necessary. Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Minus sex being on the physical necessity. I don't believe sex is a necessity in order for survival.
Well, it is for when you're thinking in terms of survival of your DNA material. I guess that's why he put it in down in the physical needs. I mean, that's the thinking behind it. And when you're 20, your sex drive is ridiculous, right? And then it just will dial down after that. I mean, my sex drive is still ridiculous, and I know that. But I do know that it will dial down after that. So in terms of like sex being a need, it is and it isn't. You won't die if you don't have sex, but it will be there. It will be something that will be continuously scratching, kind of like in the back of your head, an itch that you want to scratch all the time. It will be there, and it is an act of avoiding it. You need to actually try and avoid it. And I remember I did the 49 day no fap thing. Oh my God, man. Right? That is that is difficult. So it is something that it's not a need, but it needs to be built almost in our brain, in the way that our brain functions, so that it ensures the survival of our DNA. You survive without it, but there is a drive that's constantly there. So I think a sexual fulfillment in terms of like achieving happiness, which I don't think happiness is something that's not achievable. Happiness is something that is ridiculous as a concept. We talk about it all the time, but happiness lasts for minutes. Moments in your life, or maybe a day where you feel completely content with everything, right? How often does that happen?
Not often.
I don't think it happens. Well, to me, it doesn't happen almost at all. I know that I need to do something in order to get slightly happier. And once you achieve that something, happiness goes down, then you need to achieve something more. It is the nature of men, more so than, it is for, well, I think we're more happy than women generally. But it is the nature of men to want to achieve things, to do things in order to maintain a level of, happiness, let's say, a happiness that comes and goes almost as quickly as it, as it first appears. It's sad. It's sad that this is the way that we were designed. But if we were not designed like this, we would still be living in, well, caves.
Right. Yeah, technological advancement. If it's not out of necessity, it was typically out of a need to get laid. I think that's the way Stefan Molyneux put it. Or maybe it wasn't him, it was somebody else. But yeah. In closing for this, I think that it would be an overall benefit to society to, there's no other way of saying this, have robots replace women in terms of, for men who want to seek emotional comfort and shelter from the world. I'm sorry, it's pretty much what it is. If women didn't have sex with men and women wouldn't talk to each other. There would be literally no communication whatsoever.
It's probably true. I'm sorry. It took me some time to think about it, but that's probably true. Theoretically speaking, I think once robots do get created, once artificial intelligence reaches that point where, they become compatible with human beings, then I think that, yeah, they will replace women. I mean, men will still try and get the real thing,
Yeah.
but I think almost every man will have a robot. I do think that. It's like, since porn was invented, almost every man watches porn. If you have internet, you watch porn. I mean, that's how I think about it. So,
Well, yeah.
yeah, exactly. So if that's something that is created, if it becomes affordable, then all men will have robots. They would, even if they're shit initially, and the first models will be shit. People will still get them.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And honestly, 9 times out of 10, I think they will choose the robots because of. We always talk about cost risk benefit analysis. You put a whole bunch of cost, a bunch of time, a bunch of uh, energy, and most likely some money into trying to get laid. You put a whole bunch of with a woman, but all you have to do is put a whole bunch of time and money into a robot, and you got sex on demand whenever the fuck you want it, instead of
Mhm.
constantly having to work to get sex from a woman. And one of my concerns about that is it is going to hold back, and I do think it will hold back a little bit of humanity in that we won't strive, and that men won't strive as much for female validation. But I think that will only stagnate just so. I think that men
Hmm.
will find it within ourselves, to strive for better without looking for validation and sexual gratification.
I mean, I think you're more hopeful than I am on this issue. I think that certain things are inbuilt. I think certain things. Let me use an example. So I have a nice smartphone on my hand right now, and when I use this phone, it's built for my hand, right? So
Right.
I can use it. I can move I can slide things around. My fingers don't have to move too much, in order to reach everything. It's almost built for how I am as a person. So I think if robots in the future are built, they will be built based on how we respond emotionally to, true women, how we respond emotionally to, looking at a female body, etc. So it will be built based on the natural needs that we have. And I think, I don't know if you were around when the whole thing came around that maybe having sex with robots will be perhaps rape.
Yeah,
Anyway,
no, yeah, I was here for that. I watched those videos, and they were talking about, oh my god, that they can't do that because it's advocating rape against the female form, and it shouldn't happen because it's dehumanizing to women. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? It's a fucking robot.
exactly. But the thing is, I think once robots would be invented, those things get invented. Something, even if they're not robots, anything that keeps a man happy, it gets invented, takes away from its time. Much like the Sexodus, as they
Yeah,
said, or MGTOW is taking away men from women. They will start to freak out. We don't need them as much as they need us. They need men in their lives, right? Whatever they say, they do, right? Women are generally happier if they are with another man, right? Men are generally happier when they're single, and that is a fact, right? When they rotate women around, or if they don't engage with women at all and they find their way to be happy. They've done studies on this, right? The happiness of women is going down now that they have too much choice, right? And and men have generally remained a straight line from the 1950s, which I believe they started doing this research. So I think inventing these robots, as you say, or inventing a way that men can control their reproduction, as the male contraceptive pill was suggested, then I think that, that will invoke a new patriarchy, right?
Oh, well, the
As
way it's
women have
defined.
feared it. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Well,
No, that would be a
anyway, that
true
women.
patriarchy.
Yeah.
That would be real patriarchy. Uh,
Can you imagine a woman, the woman of now, as she is, just a general average woman that exists, competing with something that's built for a purpose and an emotional fulfillment for men, right? Something that's tweaked by men to make sure that, I don't know, 95% of all men get emotional fulfillment and pleasure out of it. And they will be competing against something that they can't compete with.
well, no, and I mean, at that point, they would have to make a decision for themselves to either make themselves more appealing than a fucking robot, or face. Well, I mean, they're going to be male sex robots who are going to be kind of the same, but I think they're going to have overloaded circuitry within the first 5 minutes. So,
Don't we have don't we have male robots already? I thought they were using them all the time. They're called dildos, right? And they vibrate much faster than I can pump, no matter how fit I am or was in my life, right? So these things already exist for women, but no man has ever said, "Oh, rape! They're raping the poor dildos." So men don't have a problem with that idea, because a dildo doesn't replace a man. A dildo might replace a man's ability to perhaps give his woman an orgasm, but a woman will still be attracted to a man. Even if there is a robot, the man will still be the source of, providing something. A robot will never do that. Whereas men don't really need a lot of provision. They don't need resources. All we need is sex and someone that doesn't, bite our ears off all the time.
yeah, sex. I mean, literally, uh, sex, food, water, peace and quiet, sleep, and a decent place to stay. I think that
Mm-hmm.
for most given points in time, that's enough for a man to be content. I mean, obviously, a bit more complicated. He wants achievement. He wants, something to take pride in and all that. But I mean, for the most part, I think that would be enough for men to feel content. For most men to feel content, not happy, but content, which is the closest that we'll most likely ever get to it.
Yeah, I do think that's entirely possible. And I think, unfortunately, the way we have evolved, that can potentially, if we're able to build AI, be replaced by a robot. It is true.
Yep. That actually segues into another topic. And I asked Stardust and Barbar this during one of their hangouts. It was over comment, but what do you think the ideal relationship between men and women should be?
The ideal relationship between men and women. I think I think men don't have a problem providing. I think as a man, if a man has a certain woman that he prefers over other women, for her personality, and I know it's blasphemy to even say that, I think men do not have a problem, providing for their children or whatever. So I think an ideal relationship is one that doesn't have risks for a man to lose absolutely everything. A woman that will not cheat on you, a woman that will remain faithful, and a woman who's willing to, stay home and, well, not stay home, but shut up every once in a while, right? So that doesn't cause you too much emotional turmoil. So if that happens, a man will be happy with that woman, but he won't be sexually satisfied. I do think a woman who doesn't mind if, her man jumps around every now and then yeah, that will be the ideal situation. It doesn't happen very often. I mean, I've been in certain relationships in my life where that was happening, but the jealousy drama that did occur was too much for me to handle. So it does happen occasionally. If you find a woman, it can happen, I think, but you shouldn't get married to her because the risks will far outweigh the benefits. That is the reality of the situation right now. But
Wait,
I think
hold on. You're saying that marriage has benefits?
it can do. If I think not marriage, What I'm saying is that a
Commitment.
committed relationship,
Okay.
a committed
Yeah.
relationship between a man and a woman, if they are to have a child, yeah, they can have benefits to that child, right? That's what the benefit is, ideally. And that's why men and women come together. They come together for the next generation. More or less, men and women hate each other, right? They don't like each other very much. They don't have honest conversations with each other. And you can tell that by just listening to women talk when they're out with their girlfriends and listen to men talk when they're out with their buddies, right? None of them seem to have honest conversations when they are with each other. They don't talk about the same topics. They don't have similar interests. They're left and we're right, or we're right and we're left and they're right. It doesn't matter, right? So we're just opposite sides of a coin. But I think a committed relationship does provide benefits to the next generation. If we're being 100% honest, yes, it does. And it's been proven. I mean, fatherlessness leads to criminality, leads to lots of problems for people. And I think if you're not able to have a child within a committed relationship with someone who's not a psycho, and there are not many of them around left, then, you shouldn't really have a child.
Right. And I think, and honestly, my definition of the ideal relationship is pretty much in line with yours because of the next generation. That kind of also segues into another topic. The validity to mothers nurturing children from a young age and fathers forcing them to grow up. I mean, as we've seen, this generation, the single mother generation, perpetuates, and I don't want to say this because it has received criticism within men going their own way, in terms of the quote unquote real man. But let's be straight here, it's bred a generation of children who didn't grow up, of kids who would rather indulge socialism and indulge living off of other people and
Yeah,
having them do the hard work.
you mean they have created men who behave in a way like women do on occasion?
On occasion, but it's worse than that. It's they want to do what they want to do, but they don't want to put in the work required to get them to that point in their life where they have the financial capability and freedom to do so.
Mhm.
Like these kids out of college, they want to. Shit, I've been out of the loop so long I don't even 100% remember. But they want to have liberal arts degrees. They want to paint all the time, and they think they can make a living off of their painting or off their music or doing what they want to do. Bloggers and whatnot. But they don't have the skills or the no, I can't even say the skills. They don't have the I'm gonna have to go with that skills or the following or anything like that. But they don't want to go out and get the harder jobs, the ones that they can advance in. They'll settle for like McDonald's or Starbucks, stuff like that, where their degrees might be worth a little bit.
So that I think what you're trying to say is that people have not grown up with people that explain to them that life takes work. I mean, to be an expert in any particular field, they say that you need to put in 10,000 hours. That's fucking a lot of hours, right?
Yeah.
In order to be good, to be a specialist in that field, to be an expert. Yeah. And in order to achieve something great, such as in music, in whatever else, art, painting, whatever else young people may aspire to, science, anything, you need to put all those hours, 10,000 hours, and then you need to have a eureka moment as well in order to be validated. So hard work is still rewarded, and people do not expect to work as hard. And I think you need male role models in your life in order to explain that. Someone that needs to sit that young man down and tell him when he's 14 or 15 or going through his rebellious phase, that, you know what, life is hard. It's going to punch you. It's going to kick you in the nuts. You're going to be, hating every minute of it if you don't just buck up and just try to, work on something that you want to work at. If you're not good at it, I mean, there are lots of people who are crap in a lot of the things that they want to do, but you can become good if you keep working and put in the hours. And that's what people are not willing to do right now. They're used to easy entertainment, at your fingertips. They're used to people, saying how easy it was for them in order to make it. And the people who made it and it was easy for them are very far in between. I mean, geniuses put in fucking loads and long hours of work in order to achieve anything. Lots of long hours went, through, sleepless nights of working and going through the same experiment again and again and again and again until you came up with a solution. People don't know that. People don't have people that tell them this. People tell them, oh, you can achieve all your dreams. No, you can't.
No, you can't. And then they sit there and wonder, why can't I achieve my dreams? It must be because someone's holding me back. It must be because the world isn't giving it to me. And I've been told all this time that you can do anything you set your mind to. And honestly, being 100% honest, that's not the case. You can work, you can try, but you cannot have anything you want. The fact of the matter is, you can strive, you can better yourself, you can make every attempt, but in the end, it's a lot luck of the draw on if you will or will not succeed on the goals you have set for yourself. And nobody wants to admit that. Nobody wants to admit that it does come down to some luck. That is a fact of life. There is some luck that goes into it. Yes, hard work does pay off, typically, but you have to be smart about your hard work.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, you're spot on this. There is an element of luck. There is an element of timing. There is an element of a lot of things that need to happen for someone to be successful, right? And people need to hear this. People need to listen to people that are going to give them a reality check. I don't know if this needs to come directly from men in particular. For example, I remember my mother giving me reality checks all the time, but it seems to be that, a generation of women who were entitled, who were given money, because they, pushed the baby out of their vagina, are not the best people to give advice, right? Maybe they haven't worked for anything in their lives other than that 2 minutes of the sexual act, or perhaps the 1 minute of the blowjob that they may have given beforehand. And unfortunately, those are the role models that people have in order to teach them to navigate the world. People who complain, I'm worth this, I'm worth that, and stuff like that. No, you're not entitled to anything.
Right.
Unfortunately, that's how things are.
And the worst of it is that these single mothers are praised. They're given above and beyond. Yes, you raised a child. Good for you. You didn't fuck a guy who stuck around. I mean, you're not allowed to say that. You're not allowed to point out the bad choices that they made. You have to, praise, hallelujah, single mothers. And it's like, no, this kid's going to grow up without a dad because you didn't make a good fucking choice. I'm not going to praise you for making a piss poor decision, but everyone expects you to.
Yeah, and that is the problem. There is nothing magical about motherhood. Now, I mean, look, my mother was brilliant. My mother was very supportive. She was always around. She worked hard, in her life, and she did provide money for the family. So she worked and she went above and beyond, and she was expected to do that by my father. My father wanted her to work. She wanted her to provide. She wanted her, to do her part in the house, right? So she was a good role model to me. But, having role models or like people being praised because they got fucked while drunk behind a dumpster in an alley while not using protection, and they end up getting pregnant, refused to have an abortion, had the child, then received benefits from the state in order to support the child and raise the child. Yeah, there is no single action that was good in the whole line, right? There are people who are against abortion and all of these things, but again, abortion for women is a choice. And if you're not ready to bring up a child into this world, maybe abortion should be a choice that you should take. I'm not here to tell them how to live their lives. I don't give a shit about how they want to live their lives. but expecting me to tell them that they've done something imaginative or something worthy of praise. No, they haven't done shit worthy of praise. I think a woman who has not gotten pregnant, a woman who has gone through and got her degree, a woman who can support perhaps the family that she wants to bring up is more worthy of praise compared to all the other women who simply go around, get fucked, have children, and then they expect us and every other working person to pay for that child.
Exactly. And you can't criticize them. I know I'm harping on this, but it's a bad decision. And every time I try to talk to somebody about this, they always go back to, well, the man should have. Well, the man should have. It's like, what the fuck about the woman here? I know you don't like to criticize women, okay? I know you've had it. You have a mother. I get it. But for a second, okay? For a second, about her decisions. Blah, 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 you can't criticize women. What would your mother think? Do you hate your mother? Oh, yeah, blah, blah, blah. It's like there's no point. It's like, at that point, you might as well just stop talking. And yet it's the results of it. And everyone's going, what's going on? It's like they can't fucking believe what's happening. And you're sitting there. It's like, I just told you what happened. You don't want to listen.
Well, let's see it from start to end, right? For an unwanted pregnancy to occur, right? We understand that very few women are capable of raising a child on their own, financially speaking, and the majority of women who do get pregnant and they're single mothers, they do that not by planning it, as they say, but they do that because of accidents. So let's just go through. I mean, that's what they claim. I don't believe that for a second, by the way. So let's just go through the different methods of contraception that we have here, right?
Right.
We have caps, combined pill. We have female condoms. We have male condoms. We have the contraceptive implant, the contraceptive injection, the contraceptive patch. We have diaphragms, intrauterine device, intrauterine system, right, which is a similar thing. Natural family planning, which is what my parents did, and they had exactly the amount of children they wanted to have. There's a progesterone-only pill, right? And there is the vaginal ring, which releases hormones, right? So that's 15 options there, right? 15, right? So all of those options were not used in this situation. Then the woman has to be at the right point in time within her cycle, 14
Ovulation.
days in, ovulation, right? Or within not 14 days, let me cut them some slack here, 6 days. So let's say from day 8 onwards, 6 days to 15 days, there is a certain point in time that a woman can get pregnant. All right. So she needs to be at that specific point in time where she can get pregnant. And after she does get pregnant, she can also have an abortion. So are we really to expect that people are that unwise that they fall into this trap of life all of the time? And if they do, am I supposed to praise morons like this? I mean, I'm trying to understand. There is female sterilization as well and male sterilization. I mean, there are so many options.
Yeah. And that there some birth control does fail. I get it. I get that. So it's not like 100% can't get pregnant, whatever. But at that point in time, a decision is made to keep the child. A decision is made to keep the child, and you have to own up to that. Where it comes to for women, where it doesn't come to for men, and I have to admit this, we all have to admit this, is that the woman is stuck with the child. Typically, if the man decides to leave, he's gone. Yeah, the state can go after him for money and whatnot, but she's the one who's most likely to be stuck with the child.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think that an agreement should be made. A lawful, I can't talk about anarchism. A lawful agreement, God damn it, should be made where the man does agree to stick around for the child, to take care of it, and to show that he was a willing party in the child's birth and upbringing. Without that, then the mother is on her own and must face the consequences of her decisions to keep the child. If we did that, I think the single mother rate would go down drastically.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it would. It would. And unfortunately, we try not to punish the next generation. I mean, the problem right now is that, what about the children? I mean, that is the problem. So if the state, the next generation is the new generation of taxpayers. So people generally, well, the state generally wants to take care of that generation, show them compassion, and provide for them to ensure that the next generation of voters at least survives. And also, people in general want to take care of children. And unfortunately, as things are right now, if the child is born, someone needs to take care of it. I think it's not a bad thing, but I think if you're going to try and do something, that's going to potentially cause something, to dramatically drop in terms of like single, motherhood and, children who are not raised with their fathers, you need to either be strict or create the medical options for men to also control their own reproduction, other than the condom that is already available. And as long as that option doesn't exist, unfortunately, I think we're stuck with the reality as it is.
Well, now you see, that's where that falls short, because unless you can prove 100% that you're not the father, all the mother has to do is name you, put your name on the birth certificate, and unless you're on one of the states here in the U.S. where you can demand a paternity test, guess what? You're the dad. It doesn't matter if you fucked her once. If you're named the father and you have no right to a paternity test, bam.
Well, that is a problem.
It is a big problem.
That is exactly the problem. The problem is that if a woman cannot name who the real father is, and they can not know who the real father is, and that person cannot be found in any way, then the state has to fill in the bill, right? And the state doesn't want to fill in the bill, so what they're doing, they just condemn paternity tests. They name them illegal, although they should be entirely legal for every single person.
Right.
I think it should be mandatory paternity testing for every single child that's born.
Amen.
Yeah, but if that is deemed illegal, then you're stuck at filling the bill. And they're doing this just for financial reasons. There is no logical reason that you cannot test whether the child is yours or not. What will the child suffer?
Yeah, there is. Because if they find out that the man listed isn't the dad, well, there goes, child support. And then you got a single mother who's solely living off the state.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. There is no logical reason, if you truly care, about who the father is, about whether that person is paying for no reason, then there is no logical reason to not have mandatory paternity tests on every single child that's born. Why we don't assume that women are, potentially promiscuous, as we do so with men. So we need to, because as it is right now, a woman's word, he cheated, that's taken literally. You don't need proof, right? He cheated, he beat me, he molested my children. All of these things are taken at face value. Why can't the assumption that that child is not mine can also be taken either at face value or at least be tested against evidence? I think everything should be tested against evidence, realistically speaking. But, I'm being a romantic here.
Yeah, it's a bitch like that. Unfortunately, as we all know, society doesn't really give a husky fuck about men. It's all about either the children's or the women's. But that's why men are starting to take the steps that they're taking. Oh my God, it's been damn near an hour. All right. I knew it would go long. I didn't think it was this long, though. All right. One more topic, and then I think it'd be a good idea to cut it here so people don't see like a 5-hour podcast and think, that's a little intimidating. I'm trying to decide if we should go with the social Darwinism or the nice guy breeding.
You make the decision.
Let's go with the nice guy breeding.
Mhm.
That's been talked about by Stefan Molyneux about you could end like you could end the generations of aggressive men and all that whatnot by not fucking the assholes and sticking with decent nice guys. Hear me out. Just abandoning the assholes, abandoning the quote unquote alpha aggressors, and just having sex with the decent guys, not all beta, beta simp bitches, but decent guys. And I'm not sure if I find any validity to that because there is DNA from the mothers of the bad boys from generations past who
Oh,
will carry on those genes. Stefan Molyneux, Red Pill.
yeah, Stefan Molyneux is not a biologist, is he?
No, he's not.
Nah, it sounds like it. So, I mean, why do we assume, first of all, why do we assume that being, an asshole or whatever is the result of our DNA? If it is the result of the DNA and that can be factually proven, then maybe we can do DNA testing and perhaps do it, right? But why should a person who's been born with the wrong DNA not be awarded the ability to have sex? And what is Stefan Molyneux suggesting as the way in which we can control women's
Well,
reproductive urges?
okay, so, and I think that there is some validity to this one. It's that women choose decent men over fucking the assholes. And honestly, I say that there's merit to that because that's a lot of what I do advocate. Don't fuck the asshole who's going to, up and leave you when you have a kid. So go with the decent guy who is going to stick around for the child. I mean, after all, the entire point of sex is reproduction. So
But
while
women do fuck the nice guys. They do. They do. They fuck the nice guys. They marry the nice guys. But they make them raise the children of the assholes.
yes, they do. And it's also on the nice guys because they stick around for the assholes' bastard children. And I
Yeah.
advocate to every man not to do that. I want men to let women face the consequences of their decisions.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, there is a whole. First of all, men generally, the majority of men will generally have think twice whether they are willing to raise the child of another person's. There is documented evidence that there is a lot of violence between stepfathers and children of another person, etc. Because I don't know exactly the reasons, but there is documentation of violence that can exist. And there are many people who are not violent. The majority of people are not violent. But generally speaking, it's difficult for stepfathers to feel that strong affection that they feel for their biological children, let's say. So generally, men are horrified at the idea of raising another man's child. However, even if these men, the good guys, end up marrying a woman who has not yet had any children, he's not 100% certain that he will not raise the child of another man's, in one of the times that the woman goes out. And unfortunately, this is how things are, and this is how things always have been. Women will take the opportunity if the opportunity presents itself, and they will have sex with the bad boys. They will, because they're almost excreting this alphaness in a way that they want to take in, and they want to take that in because in evolutionary terms, we're still living in the savannah, in the African savannah. Unfortunately, it's only been 100,000 years or so, and our reality has only recently changed. And this is what women will continue to find attractive. Just put a nice guy in front of a woman, and you'll see how a woman will respond to him.
Right.
Whatever they say, whatever we think, and that's probably the correct thing to do. Make sure that you reproduce only with guys that will stick around. But women want the best out of both worlds.
Right. And go ahead.
No. And I was going to say, and Stefan Molyneux or whoever that creates a law can do nothing to change a woman's natural inclination to go with high status males or men who are bad boys, or they excrete alpha traits or whatever.
Right. And I mean, let's be real. That's what has been the primary drive for our species. Has always been, the alpha traits. And I'd argue that back then they were an asset to our species. Absolutely, they were an asset to our species. But in the modern day, where we've placed more of an importance, on, commitment and honor, integrity, and all that. Funny, I know. The traits that were once beneficial are becoming detrimental. I mean, I'd argue that our society thrives more on cooperation than competition, because the competition does lead eventually to cooperation. And violence and aggression, all that whatnot. It's fucking complicated as shit, because it's the aggressive, it's the assertive, but not the like aggressive. The people who take it. It's the assertive who move up in the world. It's the assertive people who ask for more money at the beginning of a job and get paid more. It's the assertive who go for the promotions. It's the assertive who push themselves to create new things, to argue new points, to stand up against people who would shame them and shut them down.
Well, the thing is, those traits, the traits that you're describing right now, are the traits that the bad boys have. They just didn't have the opportunities, the social conditioning, or whatever, right? Maybe fathers in their lives in order to drive them towards a path that will lead to, maybe a person that would be assertive instead of aggressive. I don't think aggression can be divided into physical and, mental aggression. For example, being assertive in a way is almost kind of like being mentally aggressive at times, because it's needed. If you want to push your point forward at times, you need to be almost aggressive with the way that you will speak, the way that you will phrase your opinions, and you need to stand tall and express your opinions within a certain, let's say, way of talking. So if you're doing that within, let's say, the financial world, you will climb up the ladder, you will achieve loads of things. But again, that is an alpha trait that can be translated, if the opportunity was to be slightly different, to a person that would be physically aggressive within a social structure, for example, that physical aggression is needed in order to get your point across and get people to follow you into something that you deem to be better. Unfortunately, it is not as easy to subdivide between aggression, cooperation, and assertiveness. I know we have different words for it, but they probably come from the same place in our brains.
Right. And it's a complicated issue that I had all organized just like a few minutes ago, and now my brain's just decided, you know what, fuck it, throw everything in a pile, let him figure it out. But yeah, the traits of physical aggression, I should say, that were once an asset to our species, have become more of a detriment, and it's a conflict, because women still find physically aggressive men who are willing to commit acts of violence onto other men as attractive. And don't be wrong, I believe that violence is more than justified in self-defense. I advocate non-aggression, but I'm by no means a pacifist. If somebody's taking shots at you, you overreact with violence to show that kind of aggression is not going to be tolerated. You lay that fucker out. And if he's trying to take something from you, like he's making threats to kill you and slit your throat and shit, you leave a lasting impression on that motherfucker to show that he shouldn't have done that he fucked up.
Yeah. And it is almost, I think I was reading Steven Pinker's book, I'm almost finished with it. He calls that response the doomsday machine, in a way, right? It's taken from a movie. It's a concept where people will overreact. They will have emotional responses so that they can maintain what they have, in a way, in order to convey to the outside world that they mean business, right? So that is something that humans are born with, in a way. So that's why people get angry. If someone attacks you and you overreact and you beat the living shit out of him, and then the whole group around knows not to mess with you, right?
Exactly.
That's how people communicate, kind of like a hierarchy almost within. Imagine in societies where there is no police, there is no state, there is no vote, there is nothing like that. In order to maintain order, someone needs to be able to be violent. Therefore, that is still around, and there are societies still like this in our current civilization. They do exist. Even within the USA, you need to be like this in, for example, certain ghettos or certain areas which, do not have so much police involvement. You need to be a man of your word. You need to be, aggressive in a certain way, and you need to mean business. Unfortunately, that trait cannot be eradicated completely.
No.
It exists within women as well.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
not just men. It's just men are more willing to do, well, they're more able to do more damage
Right.
than women are.
Yeah, and I saw some comments that attribute that to females and males. Aggression being male and submission being female. I don't think I would classify it in that way. But I would say that, physical violence between people, it's always going to be around. Just like rape is always going to be around. You can't really stop it. You can't stop it. I hate to say this, but real talk, it's not going to stop. It'd be a great, perfect, shoulda, coulda, woulda world if it could. But it's not. I don't live in shoulda, coulda, woulda land. I live in reality. I look at results. I look at facts. And I look at, what makes sense. And that's not going to stop. I believe that people should be more willing to stand up to those who would commit violence in order to get their way. And that people should be willing to overreact to violence or to aggression with violence to show that aggression will not be tolerated. But society is raised on this weird, sick notion that all violence, even defensive violence, is a bad thing. You shouldn't do it. Go get a cop. Go get an authority figure. You can't handle this by yourself. No, you're not going to have a cop there all the time. You're not going to have an authority figure there all the time. You have to deal with shit. Life happens to you. It's not going to happen to you when the cop's there, or, when your mom's there, or when your teacher's there, or whatever. It's going to happen to you and you alone many of the times, and you're going to have to figure out how to deal with that.
Well, you're absolutely spot on, man. I don't disagree with you at all. And even when we think scientifically, right? If you could choose, let's say, the way that your genes would be expressed in a certain environment, let's say, then you would have the appropriate behavior for that environment. Unfortunately, that's not how shit works, right? We'll have people who are a bit more aggressive than other people. We'll have people who are a bit more assertive than other people. We'll have people of varying degrees of everything. And all those people have successfully made it, to the present generation as it is. And they've been through all sorts of, extreme environments in the past to more appropriate environments where, you needed cooperation, etc. And unfortunately, the pressures that were pushed on our species cannot be eradicated just because we live in a civilized society with skyscrapers and, really, really nice cars. It just doesn't change just at the blink of an eye. It doesn't.
Right. That's the way of the world, though. That's reality. And I think the sooner that people accept reality instead of trying to live in this peaceful utopianic bubble that they're trying to create for themselves, the better off humanity will be. Like this whole, we all know the whole teach men not to rape. That's still, yeah. I'm sorry, that's still hilarious to me.
And well, they're still advocating for it.
Okay,
we need to teach children, man. They need to know.
Oh yeah, because
have you told your cousins or young people around you that they need to be careful with where they put their penis?
Uh,
Um,
well, you see, I thought about it, but then he was talking about patriarchy, and I thought, oh man, I better be quiet. I don't need that right now. I'm kind of on thin ice.
yeah, we need to, man. It's just ludicrous. I mean, yeah, boys will be slightly more aggressive, but I don't think all men are born to be rapists.
I
And the ones that are, yeah,
Now be
what can
careful,
you do?
dude. You might get sued for saying that. That's disagreeing with a lot of feminists there.
Yeah, okay, I'll try and keep quiet. I'm still hoping that that trial will end up showing that they're retarded, but it's still going on, so I don't know what the end result would be for that.
It's amazing that it's still going on. I don't even know what to make of that. I honest to God have no idea how to respond to that. I mean, I've heard of stupid. That was beyond my level of comprehension, but to see it, to actually experience it that is literally, you can make something idiot proof and there will just create a new class of idiot. That is the honest to God definition of that phrase.
Well, I still hope that he just survives this, man. As much as as much as disagreeing with feminists it can be the incorrect thing to do. Going to prison and getting ass raped is not, an appropriate response to having a woman's feelings get hurt.
Oh, of course. It's
Jesus.
okay. That's starting to get. Even as a joke, I'm starting to feel my skin crawl.
Yeah.
All right. I think that does it for the topic and the time we've got. Yeah, 100. Oh wow, minute and 20 or hour 20. All right. Any closing thoughts you want to give out?
No, no, I'm sorry. I think we
Okay,
covered
fine.
a
You know
lot
what?
of
Screw it.
topics. Yeah, screw it. Fuck it. Let's close up, man. Fuck you guys.
I was gonna take questions, but apparently Niko doesn't like you guys anymore. So
No.
oh no.
Take questions. No, man. Take questions. I just won't answer. I'm staying here.
Oh wow, okay. Go ahead and ask questions, guys. Niko's not gonna answer them. Fuck you guys. We are terrible people, Niko.
Well, I think I'm okay.
You think you're okay?
But that's all that matters. Yeah, that's all that matters.
That is all that matters. Butt plugs. No.
I like them. Or that just turned slightly awkward. I like using them, I mean. Not on me.
No comment. No comment whatsoever. I never got the point of those, but I don't really look into the whole, spicy sex life thing. It's just, I mean, chains and whips I get, but butt plugs, I'm just like, huh? Okay.
That question is for you.
Yeah. Because I like Niko. He's a cool guy. He's got good insight.
Why won't I answer questions? I answered the question about butt plugs, guys. I don't understand. Ask questions. We will be able to answer.
Don't make this awkward, guys. Come on now. Well, it sucks because they're on a 12-second time delay. Or no, a 20-second time delay. So yeah, that's one thing that sucks about Google. These broadcasts is that these guys are a 20-30-second delay, and so we're sitting here, ask questions, 30 seconds later, awkward silence. Got to find a way to fill it. Double butt plugs. I'm gonna say that's for you.
I haven't used double butt plugs ever. I'm presuming is it what, one for, I don't know. Where would you fit that? I want to say that out loud that I don't really like the reverend. Right. So next question. I'm not a leader. I fucking hate that word.
You're a dear leader, Niko. You're a dear leader. Why do female victims get paid for hurt feelings? is the simping that, yes, they are. I don't know when it happened, but feel sorry for women at all points in time, utter compassion. I think it's because of the single mother thing. But yeah, at that point when women became the people, when women became the people of the world, children came second, men came last. I think that's when women's feelings became, hurt equals like some kind of sin against the gods of feminism.
I think a lot of the men are born feeling guilty for being men, and anything bad that happens to women, they need to rectify it. I don't think the simping was ever as bad as it is right now, especially in Western society. I don't think it ever was this bad. But I think the more comfortable we get and the more, our needs are satisfied, then the only thing left is perhaps, getting some female to be willing to spend some time with you. And unfortunately, men are willing to do anything for that. And it is a sad state of affairs. Unfortunately, yeah, the simping is this bad.
All right. One more question, and then we'll go ahead and wrap this up, because butt plugs are a nice topic for when I'm not around. But that seems you seem to bring out the worst in people, Niko. What the hell?
It's every time, and I don't know. I didn't suggest butt plugs. They just mentioned it.
Oh well. Damn. So I guess the only question we got are MILFs the worst temptation? I have no comment on that.
What do you mean you don't have any comment? Do you like MILFs?
Not particularly. I mean, even yeah, just nothing about it appeals to me. I mean, they're older. They might know what they're doing compared to the younger females, but I don't know. Just having to know that I've got 35 years worth of semen infested pussy on my dick.
Oh, come on, man.
It's a cauldron of cum soup, dude. That's exactly what it is. And it grosses me the fuck out. It does.
So I mean, personally, I don't find them attractive at all. Just the idea that I don't know what it is about them, good looking, etc. And I'm willing to spend a night with them. I just don't want them lying around. I don't know what it is. It could be what you just said, which grossed me the fuck out. But it could be the fact that, it's just, they have a child. What the fuck are they looking for? Because that's the question that, I always ask myself. What does this woman want? And that woman is looking for a baby daddy. And I don't want to be a baby daddy.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right, guys. Well, that's all the time we have for today. Niko, thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
That was a good time.
Yeah, it was. You're still live, man.
Okay. All right, everybody. You guys have a good day. I am the Cynic, and take care.